What's up, guys? Mark and Wes here from Renegade Supply Company, and we just wanted to drop by real quick and discuss with you guys one of the things that we think has made a huge impact in our lives, in our personal growth, and just, I think that it's one of the more important things that you can work on every single day, and that is communication.
Communication is super important. I think we both have found that just in our personal lives, and I think we've helped each other really kind of step forward. It's in all aspects of life. Communicating, it's so important, whether it's in a relationship, with a job, business, whatever it may be. Being able to actually have a good, productive conversation and being able to communicate your emotions, how you're feeling about certain things, or just how to grow and find responsibility within other people that you're around. Absolutely.
I feel like everyone has expectations for every single situation, whether it be a personal situation, whether it be something in a relationship, whether it be a transaction at Burger King. No matter what it is, you all have expectations for the way that you think things are supposed to play out. And when they don't play out that way, I think that a lot of times a natural reaction is just to get angry and to snuff a situation and to have this negative consequence that goes along with whatever it is that you're dealing with. And a lot of times, most times, if you can just communicate to the other side, communicate your expectations, instead of letting it ruffle your feathers and get under your skin and ruin your day completely, go to the other person, to the other party, to the lady at the counter at the restaurant, whatever it is, and just communicate your expectations. Hey, this was not the right sandwich. This wasn't my order. This wasn't, I didn't mean this when I said this. It's very important for you to iron out exactly what it is that you're trying to communicate. Also because, sometimes we're not great with words, and sometimes we say things and we mean something else. Words are hard, and we use so many of them each day, but we try to say one thing and we wind up saying something else. And if you don't have the tools able to communicate what you're actually trying to say, then that can create a situation that really was no situation to begin with at all.
Absolutely. I think, and to speak personally on it, I think, I was never modeled healthy communication, just from the atmosphere I grew up in, and that just carried over into other parts of my life, from school to, beginning jobs and, marriage and everything else for me. And I realized how important it is, to be able to not get emotional about things, not to just react, but simply, just stay calm, because once your demeanor, changes, it's going to influence the people around you. It's going to influence your atmosphere and everything. So I realized hey, if I can keep calm, if I can actually logically think about this and talk about it, I mean, the outcome from doing that, especially in the past 2 years, have just transpired in my life, and that's something that, I know that you can relate to as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that, as of a couple of years ago, I was not a great communicator. And like you said, I just wasn't modeled those strong communication skills, I kind of came from sort of a passive aggressive household where we just didn't talk about things. We just snuffed each other. We went to separate rooms, and in a few days it'll just disappear, and that's just really not healthy communication, because it doesn't really disappear. It sits in there and it weighs on you, and it builds and builds and builds, and eventually you pop a top over something that really you don't need to pop a top over, and ultimately that's going to happen. And it could, you could be one of those people that can take it and take it and take it and take it, and it seems like you're never going to blow a gasket, but eventually something simmers inside and the top comes off, man. And when it does, it's usually never good, and it's definitely not effective communication, and it definitely could have been diffused. The very second that those situations happen, address those situations. Address them immediately. Don't let them go a day or a week or a month, because when you don't address the situations immediately, the value of it goes down. It's hard to bring up things. Well, yeah, but you did this to me last week. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Last week, shoot, I don't even remember last week. Tell us in the moment, be good communicators. And it's important for both sides, but it starts with you. If you're not a great communicator, it's kind of counterproductive and pretty hypocritical for you to expect somebody to be a good communicator to you when you yourself aren't a good communicator. So it definitely starts with you, and it can make drastic changes in your lives. Just learning how to open up a little bit and be communicative.
Yeah. And I think, if you're watching this you know, a lot of people who struggle with communication, like they almost make the situation even worse than what it is. Like people who don't know how to communicate, like we hold it in, we hype it up inside our own head. We make it 10,000 times worse than if we would have just been like, hey, you know, like blah, blah, blah. Okay, no problem. Like, wait, what? You know, so just talking about it, you'd be surprised about how a lot of people, you know, there are no ill intentions to begin with, but too, I think it's important to address it and, you know, just to be able to express that.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people, I think, you know, once you kind of open that door for communication and like you're mature about it, then I think it kind of sets the tone for how that conversation is going to go. So sometimes you do have people who can't communicate properly,
absolutely,
and who may get offended, and that's okay. But I think overall, just learning to communicate, and as long as you know you're doing it in a healthy way, you're not being extreme about it, but you're just being honest and truthful. I think with any event that takes place, whether it is in a job, marriage, whatever it is, you know, if you're speaking from truth and being calm within it, then I think the results are so much better.
Absolutely. I mean, unquestioned.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that it's kind of human nature for us to, like, you know, escalate quickly, especially when you're not good communicators. That is your natural instinct. Is like when something is different than what I thought it was going to be. You know, you feel the blood pressure rising, and you feel the anxiety rising, and it starts with you. It starts with you being a good communicator, and you know, all of it. It just starts with personal growth in communication, plus in lots of different ways. You know, and but communication is hands down one of the most important pieces of the puzzle when you're talking about good, healthy relationships, whether it be personal relationships, work relationships, no matter what it is.
And I think too, just to tie in off of that too, I think the self-confidence too. I think learning to, you know, not get worked up, or, you know, because a lot of people, it's either fight or flight or whatever, and we kind of like, again, think that it's going to result in something bad, when at the end of the day, like it's healthy to be a mature adult and just have conversations, you know, even if it's hard topics, you know, like certain things need to be addressed, certain things need to be talked about. And when you learn to do that, especially with people you're close with or people you work with or whatever, like the confidence you gain in knowing, like it's not just huddle and hide, you know, like when I don't want to deal with that, you know, but like at the end of the day, like you know, you're entitled to be able to have a conversation and to communicate about things. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells and be scared of that. Again, it takes time, you know, that's a part of like a self-growth thing, you know, but it really does help with confidence. So I encourage, if you find yourself, you know, behind the scenes, like you're just, you know, you kind of avoid things and avoid conflict, and, you know, sometimes like that is an okay thing. But if you're just kind of scared to talk about things, you know, I just want to encourage you, like the confidence you gain, and once you kind of start learning to speak out and have these conversations, and like it really does snowball. Like once you kind of break that ice, then each situation that is necessary to talk about, you know, you definitely have more confidence, and you can control yourself a little better when you do have to address certain things.
And it's like everything else, it gets easier over time. You know, every one of those harder conversations that you have, like they may not ever not be hard, but it definitely gets easier, you know. And when you have those important conversations that maybe you wouldn't have had in the past, they just grow on each other. It's like everything else. The more you do it, the better you are at it. And, you know, it may stink at first. It may be hard at first. It may give you the butterflies in the tummy and the anxiety.
Oh, no.
But sometimes you just need to buck up and do it. And when you do it, you feel a lot better for it. And like Wes said, it instills a lot of confidence, and honestly makes you a better overall person, because a person that can communicate their feelings and their expectations, that is much closer to a whole person than someone who cannot. So
to kind of tie in on that too, I think a positive thing, you know, not just the negative side of expectations or, you know, learning to kind of like confront people with proper communication, but there's also positive sides to it too, to be able to learn to identify what people around you also need, and how to encourage them and how to pour into their life, you know, how to communicate that, you know, and you know, it's really helped me to be able to do that, to identify, you know, when someone's struggling or whatever, and just to be able to know how to communicate, you know, for that person and what they need to help pull them up no matter where they're at.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true. We've focused a lot on like negative conversations, but it definitely like applies to positive conversations too, because, you know, sometimes those can be awkward, and you're right, man. The better you get at it, the more, you know, the more you get out of it, just in general overall, positive interactions as well as negative interactions. You know, so yeah, just make sure that you're trying to work on those things. And it's honestly, it's all within you, and it's all up talk to you. It's something that's easy to work on because you have interactions every single day. You can go out and talk to people. Even if you don't have a job that puts you in front of folks where you can communicate a whole lot, you can still like make those changes. You can still make those communications and actually get some real good out of it.
Hey guys, so that's a little bit about communication and the positivity that it can have in your life. So if you find yourself struggling or you're not really sure how to grow in that area, feel free to shoot us a message, reach out to us. We would love to just tell you a little more about our personal experiences and how it's changed our life tremendously.
For sure. A great place to do that would be in the Discord. You can find the link on the website. The website is renegadesupply.co. And also make sure that you're following along on all of our socials, and feel free to drop in there. And, until next time, you guys stay hustling.